Today's warm-up has us practicing adding those integers using the chips and the number line. So the problem that we've been given is negative 12 plus positive 7. The first thing we do is we set up those chips for negative 12, so we need 12 negatives. There's my 12 negatives, and I'm adding 5 positives to that, or not 5, sorry, 7 positives, positive 7. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And when we add them together, we know that we've got negatives and positives. Every negative and the same amount of positives makes a 0 pair. So for instance, this right here is 1 0 pair. I can go right down and make sure, since they're lined up, that those are gone. And then I do have a straggler down here just because of the way things got set up. Those match up as well. What I'm left with is anything that I haven't crossed off. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and those are all negative. So my answer is negative 5. And that's it for the chip model. Things are relatively easy when we add. Let's go on and look at our number line. So we've got is still have negative 12 plus positive 7. I don't draw out my whole number line because that's really not necessary at this point. I am going to put negative 12 somewhere in the middle of my number line. And I need to remember that I'm start, face, move, end. Every single time I should write these down. So if I get something wrong or I get confused, I can go back and see what it is that I did. So I know that I'm starting. I already put that on my number line. This number right here, the first number, tells us where to start, and that makes sense because that's where we start. Negative 12 is where we're starting. Now, the direction that we face in is always told by the operation that we're doing. At this point, we've only been doing addition, so we're always facing to the right. The thing that tells us that we're facing to the right is the fact that we're adding. And like I said, at this point, that's all we've been doing, so that should be relatively easy. Make sure you draw yourself a little flag, an arrow facing to the right. And I know that that's the way I face because that's the positive end of my number line. And then this last integer tells us which way and how many to move. It is positive, so that means I'm moving forward. And I am going to be moving forward 7 units. And don't forget, the thing that told us we're moving forward is the fact that that number is positive. Now, because I'm facing to the right, forward is in that same direction. I know I need to do that 7 times, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that would be negative 10, negative 11. This one is negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, and there I am on negative 5. So this is where I ended, and that, of course, means negative 5 is my answer. You should make sure that when you do a chip model and a number line for any of the same expressions. For this one, we did negative 12 plus positive 7 for both the chips and the number line, that you end up with the right answer. I have noticed that some of you are getting a different answer for each, which does not make a whole lot of sense. At that point, you would go back and check to see what went wrong.